I never really learned to learn. I sound like I'm bragging about it. Until fairly recently, my only experience with learning has been that you're supposed to get things right the first time. And if you don't, well, then you suck at it. Learning was always a means to an end. It's always been about getting a grade to do well in a class and then passing that class and then getting into college and then getting out of college. And because I had never truly learned to learn, I felt so unprepared as I got my first job out of college. Even at my job, learning was always extrinsically motivated. It was always to try to get a technical skill so I can look good on my resume. It didn't come from a place of truly wanting to learn something. It was just always motivated by something outside of me. It wasn't until recently when I found something called passion, just like a love for learning something, because you just like the idea of it and you want to know what goes into it, which in my case has been drawing and animation. Just because I have the love for wanting to learn something does not mean I can just separate myself from all the bad habits that I've picked up along the way as well. So I had basically set up traps for myself. I'd expect instant results. I would give up at the very first hurdle, and eventually I'd just give up trying altogether. My old patterns kept me stuck in a loop of trying and giving up, and eventually, as I got dizzy from chasing my own tail, I realized that I had to do something to change these old patterns. And this involved becoming conscious and on the constant lookout for my old patterns starting to emerge, which is a lot easier said than done because bad as they may be, they have been with me for my entire life. And it's like you find yourself at this weird crossroads of like, I can just continue chugging along the way I currently am, or I can try to really do a better job at learning things the right way. It almost helped me better to look within myself and understand what are some of my own habits that I could then transfer over to the things that I'm trying to learn in drawing and animation. And the first thing was integrating positive learning experiences from other habits that I've built up. I loved working out. It wasn't something that I ever did for somebody else. It's just something I picked up and I just wanted to continue getting better at it. When you're working out, you don't just go in and pick your heaviest weight on day one because that's how you injure yourself and you never work out again. I just have this perfect idea in my head, which is mainly because I have seen all these perfect animations and I can see it clearly in my head. But just because I cannot do it right now does not mean that I can never get to that point. So every time I would sit down and try to get the idea out of my head, it would not translate well on paper. It would just look like garbage and I would give up right away. I'm basically taking that heaviest weight of that perfect animation and expecting that out of me very early on in my learning stage. And that's a way to injure your morale in a way. So, although the physical effort of it is very different, I think the principle of it applied to me. And that really helped me reframe this problem of trying to get it right the first time. I also learned that perfection was almost a way of procrastinating because, as long as you have this perfect idea in your head, you never have to try to get better because it's just so perfect in your head that you don't want to bring it out. But that's almost something that gets in the way of you getting any better. Thinking I have the perfect body in my head doesn't help me. What helps me is putting in the effort. And although it will take me a long time to get to that level of body, and maybe I'll never attain that perfect body that I see in my head, at least I can make an incremental effort to get to that point. And a lot of times, the idea of perfection was the very thing getting in my way of trying. Also, learning can just be a labor of love. I know we're very extrinsically motivated because we need money, we need jobs, we need all this external validation, especially with social media and whatnot, to feel like we have some sort of value in this world. But sometimes the best things about ourselves are things we do for ourselves. And maybe in that sense, it can just be a labor of love, something you pursue just because you want to do it.